Hello, this is Ovvian Hill, and this is Life, Love and Lumpia. Today I have with me very famous in Fort St. John, Lilia Hansen. Lilia, can you tell us more about what you do in Fort St. John? And you've been doing a lot of service to the community for many years. So can you tell us a little bit about how it started and what your role is today?
Most definitely. I'm the mayor, City of Fort St. John, very honored to have this position. And my route to this position went through many different stages. I started with provincial government, and then from there I went over to the RCMP as a municipal employee. And then I was tapped on the shoulder for an opportunity to work at our Fort St. John and District Chamber of Commerce as their executive director for 5 years. And I really loved the advocacy component that the chamber was doing. And in building our relationships with the city, I got to know the councillors. And when an opportunity came open through a by-election to put my name in, I talked to my board and they were in favor of it, and they supported me, and I was very fortunate to get elected. And then that was in 2017. In 2018, I ran for a full 4-year term, and in 2022, I am now blessed to be the mayor of Fort St. John.
And yes, I can say this, that Lilia has been very helpful, and she really takes her role very seriously as mayor of Fort St. John. So thank you for being here at Life, Love and Lumpia, the podcast. So first, let's talk about life. Life meaning, can you tell us what your origin story is coming to Fort St. John? How did you get here? Who did you come here with? Can you tell us more about how you began your life in Fort St. John?
Most definitely. I've been raised in the Peace region. My parents were looking for something better for their family. They loved their home countries. Both my parents come from different countries. My father is from Hungary and my mother is from Mexico. So we definitely had really fun vacations when we go to visit family. They love their home countries. They, right up till they passed away, they would talk very fondly of it. But they came to Canada looking for different opportunities. And I was born in Dawson Creek, so we moved a whole 45 minutes across the Taylor Bridge here to Fort St. John. And we've been blessed with our neighbors and our education and the opportunities that we've had here.
Yeah, so through all those years, I'm sure you've spent a lot of years. I mean, for newcomers or immigrants or even people, I suppose, from Dawson Creek, there's not much change in weather, but we are famous for having long winters and very, very nice sunny summers. Can you tell us what would a typical day, summer day be like for Lilia Hansen?
Well, it depends if I'm in the office or out of the office. Right now in summertime when I have some free time, like yesterday, we had a fun day. We traveled to Hudson's Hope. We went to Dunleavy Inlet. We went to Dinosaur Lake. We like exploring. We have a golden retriever. And so any place that we can get out and let our dog run, we really enjoy that.
What about in the wintertime though? There are some challenges, I suppose, in places where you have long winters, but we do note that we always have good sunshine in Fort St. John, whether or not we have snow on the ground or not. But what would a typical wintertime day be like for Lilia Hansen?
I love our sunshine. In wintertime, I think the best advice I can give to someone is just dress appropriately. And we're fortunate because we have more dry air. So even though it's cold, you can still bundle up for it. With my girlfriends, usually each Sunday in wintertime, we still go for walks. And that's something that's scheduled in my calendar, things that we do together. And then there's going to be out with the dog. Definitely lots of snow shoveling. Sometimes, if you have an elderly parent, in past years, there'd be 2 driveways that had to be shoveled to stay on top of that. It just feels good to be outside and just walking around. I think as long as you're dressed for the weather, you can find fun. My mom always said the fun is there. It's up to you to make it happen.
That's true. Like we mentioned earlier, or like I mentioned here in Fort St. John. And so they're all, I know the city has a lot of indoor spaces as well for different age groups. Like with the city, what would you encourage for families to do here other than walking outside? Like what about indoor spaces that the city has available for the community? Can you talk a little bit more about what the city has for families?
Definitely. I'm really proud about all the activities we have. So not only, do we have like our library and our gallery and the art space, we have our Pomeroy Sports Center with the walking track. And then downstairs we have our skating ovals. And then depending on what time of year, when the ice is out, along our speed skating oval, you can bring your bikes or your skates and then cruise around on there. And then we have our swimming pool, which is technically the regional district owns the building, and city staff, we manage it and staff it. And I just love to see how many activities there are. And then we try and have things for different diverse age groups, from the wee little ones to the seniors, from aquafit to learning to swim. As well, we have our kids arena. Well, now it's called the Field House, so you have to excuse me. So I've been here since the 70s, and it was had a different name back then. But now you can do soccer inside. They have bouncy playtime. We also have our curling club, and they really try and encourage students and youth to come in and learn that sport. There's just so many things, and depends, what time of year. Like in our area, we have everything from cross-country skiing to motocross to cycling. There's something for everyone's interests, and I really appreciate what the staff does, and they come up with a lot of the programming ideas, and that includes what time of season or whether there's a Pro D day, trying to find things that will keep that creativity going. And I can't say enough about our walking paths. Whether you go to Fish Creek Community Forest or just around the community, I love to see how many people are out and about walking. And that's something, just grab a good pair of shoes, remember your sunglasses, and hopefully some suntan lotion, because even for myself, I still need to put some on, and just get out there. Our dog park. So my husband loves the dog park, and the friendliness of our community really shines through. Back in my days when I was with Ministry of Environment, I was there for 12 years, and we would have staff come into our community. They were, different ages, but sometimes they would be coming without their family, whether because they were still a young person and not at that stage of their life, or maybe their family hasn't been able to move with them yet. But if they had a pet, and being able to get out and connect with other pet owners, I think that's something that's really important, that I would like to encourage more. When somebody's new to the community, join a group or find somebody of a similar interest. And I think that really will help make their time in Fort St. John even better than they thought possible.
Yeah, I agree. Especially with the pet ownership and meeting people that way. And as for facilities, like I remember, like NP Philcan, which I belong to, we've used the Festival Plaza quite often, and I think it's one of those spaces that really brings people together. And you've gone to some of our events there with us as well, and there's lots to do, and there's lots of opportunities for communities and various members of various interest groups to meet each other and come together.
And that is such a gem, like our Festival Plaza and all the events that we have there. As I drove down here today, the farmers market is going, nonprofit organizations can rent it out, and it's very, very affordable.
Yes, I agree. So if you're coming to Fort St. John, you might want to check out what's happening at Festival Plaza and all the other facilities that the city owns here in town, because you're right, the city's really good at programming. making sure that there's something for everyone and every age group. I can attest to that because my family has used this space quite a bit. So the question now is, if you weren't in Fort St. John doing what you do, which you do very well, by the way, where would you be? What would you be doing, Lilia?
I think it would be something similar to perhaps different roles that I've had in the past. I've always wanted to have, whatever I'm involved in, I need to feel of purpose. I need to know that what I'm doing is helping others. In my time when I worked with the Conservation Officer Service, I really was impressed by those that were around me. I interacted with our wildlife department and Fish and Wildlife, our CO service, our BC parks, and just to see their dedication that they had to the region, I really admired that, and I liked being part of that type of organization and family. And I think that's also when I had the opportunity to work with the Chamber of Commerce, I really loved getting into being involved in promoting economic development and helping businesses grow. With my husband, he's now retired, but we had a small company in the oil field, and it's just, I love talking to entrepreneurs and business owners. What got you started? Like, how did you get into this? Like, what gave you the idea? And just to get that enthusiasm off of them, it gives me that strength to keep working long hours. And then I think one of my skill sets is being able to build those bridges and connect people to other resources. After the Chamber of Commerce, I did have a contract with the provincial government as an export advisor for the province. And part of that role is, who do I know that I can connect them with? What kind of government grants and funding? How can I get them over that hurdle to the next level? And just being able to see how people progress. And it's much like in my role as mayor. As a spokesperson for the province, or sorry, for the city, it's a leadership role, and you have to work with a team that has, on council, we're very blessed, and it's a well-functioning team. They're very strong, they're very engaged. And as a leader, you have to be aware of, are they engaged at the council meeting? If you hear, somebody has questions that aren't being answered, circle back to them. Is there something that they're passionate about that perhaps that would be a liaison position that they would be, best suited for, or they would like to advance to? And I think that's really important, is giving people those opportunities to grow where they are.
And now we'll talk to Lilia about love. In this segment, we talk about passions or passion projects and things that interest us. But first, what do you love about Fort St. John, Lilia?
I definitely love the compassion that we have in our community and the engagement. If there's something that needs to be done, Fort St. John has a get-her-done attitude. And I think that's admirable, because so often people will identify an issue or a problem, but they don't come with solutions. But yet I find in our community, they will give you a couple of ideas of what to try. Some of them will work. Some are worth investigating, and perhaps we can build on it, or to see what other communities are doing. I definitely love how engaged our families are. Our average age population in Fort St. John is 34. So we have a lot of young children and young adults, but we also have a senior population. And when we have celebrations, especially in Centennial Park or down at Festival Plaza, to see the number of people that come out and everybody is smiling and there's such a good mood. I definitely love to see that. I also love and respect many of our first responders that we have here and our nonprofit groups, the number of hours that they put in. And if you try to quantify that for a dollar value, it'd be astronomical. And we have a lot of passionate people, whether it's with arts or fundraising to help others, like the Rotarians. We have for sports. It's just to see how people, they want to engage and they want to share their love with other people. And I think one thing that Fort St. John does well, we have individuals that say they're coming to Fort St. John for maybe 2 years, and they're still here 12 years, 15, 30 years later.
Yeah, that's right. And you're right. I mean, I do notice there's a lot of volunteers in town, not just with the interest group. Sometimes they, go out of their boxes and just, try things new to engage themselves with here in Fort St. John. So other things about the things you might love, what brings you joy? Or maybe you can talk about what hobbies do you do, Lilia, that you'd like to share with us?
I really love reading, being part of council, the resolutions, advocating. I found, and this might be, when for students that are in school and when their teacher tells them you talk too much or you're too, I don't know, some of those things that maybe you would get written on your report card as a student later in life, those are going to be things that I think will help you excel in whatever you decide to do,
right.
Whether it's in your volunteer work or raising a family or in your career. And I like to help people. I get a lot of, in my soul, I just feel really good. And if I know somebody has an issue or a problem or something that I can do to help, if I can be of an asset to them, I really love that. I have a family, and I think that is something that, as a young person, I've always loved children, but I didn't know what kind of mom would I be, but I've been so blessed. And I'm grateful that I had both my parents here to help me with my children and my family, with my friends. I think having good relationships with your friends, your family, it's something that no matter what we're doing, we enjoy.
Right.
Nothing like having a family meal together. My husband, Ron, now that he's retired, he's like king of the barbecue and the smoker, and he's always trying new things. And
yeah, well, I mean, I can attest to that because Ron, when he's joined our parties, he'll try everything, and he eats with gusto, if I can say.
Yes.
So yeah, he's like me.
yeah, me as well. I think that's why we're golden retriever family. We definitely love to try new things, and so same with my children. We've always loved traveling and being able to try different things. It just helps also start new conversations.
Yeah.
With our daughters and my son-in-law, when they come over for supper, we love that. We like to play board games, but we just like being outside and exploring. So often when I'm busy doing the work, my daughters are excellent at keeping their dad busy as well. And they'll jump in the truck and they'll go find a river or a path or some road that I'd be like, do you really want to bring your truck down there? And they're like, oh, it'll be fine. And they've always come back. And they've always come back usually with more rocks and sticks and good stories as to what they've done throughout the day.
Yeah. Well, that there's a lot of good times, but also sometimes that we do face some challenges, and they come at any age. What do you do to overcome challenges when you're faced with them? If you're passionate about something, but sometimes things aren't always going smoothly. So how do you face challenges? How do you overcome them?
I think for myself, I'm very goal-oriented, and through the different roles I've had, sometimes challenges and disappointments are a good thing because you learn how to evolve, and that there's always a plan B, C, D, and all the way to Z. Usually I need to talk it out, so I have a good group of friends and coworkers and my council. We are constantly texting each other and asking questions, or if somebody has an issue, what's the best way that we can help them. I think it's important to be willing to try new things. If this isn't going to work, then try a different avenue. When I was at the Chamber of Commerce and I wanted to do an energy forum, my first idea, there's just so many roadblocks. It just wasn't going. And somebody gave me a different idea, and it surmounted. It was way better than even what I originally thought of. And even during COVID, when we had the community awards, I was really impressed to see how we were able to transition and do new things. And I thought it was great. I mean, you can do something for, year after year, and it's loved. But being able to try something new when you're pushed into something new, I think that brings out a lot of creativity for that.
Right.
There's different challenges that our community has faced, whether it was going through COVID, which was very difficult, even to when we had to have an evacuation alert called in our community. And the last few years with the drought and the forest fires and having other communities come to Fort St. John, last year I think we hosted about 3,000 guests from the Fort Nelson area here. And you've got to be able to pivot, and but it definitely takes having confidence in yourself in order to be able to ask other people for their ideas, and knowing that your idea doesn't have to be the absolute best one.
Right.
Being able to incorporate other ideas. And oftentimes, you know, I have to admit, sometimes going, really? And then after, I'm like, we got to do this again. This is awesome.
Yeah. Well, I mean, part of leadership, I guess, too, is the humility, being able to delegate and being able to deal with other inputs, as you say, because that's right. Sometimes their ideas might have not have occurred to you, but others might have be able to come forth with those ideas. So that's really good.
Yeah, just keep showing up.
Yeah.
One foot in front of another. Just keep going. Sometimes you just got to get out of the chair and try a new avenue. Just keep at it.
So you do a lot of things, but the things that you do, can you say, who do you do them for?
I think when you dig right down deep, there's always going to be your family. There is for your family. And then from there, it broadens out to your neighbors, you know, because you're talking with them. And then it's your broader community, people that you have the privilege of have worked with, or on a board or a committee with. When you get to know and talk to people, you know, whether I live in the rural area or I live in town, their issues become my issues because I care about those people and I get to know them and I want to help them.
You do have the gift of empathy, and that's probably hand in hand with how passionate you are about serving the community. So, well, thank you for that, Lilia. Still with Lilia, now we're going to be talking about lumpia. Lumpia is a spring roll, a Filipino spring roll. And have you tried lumpia? I'm pretty sure you've tried lumpia because we've served lumpia at the Phil-Can parties. I know you've tried lumpia before. Do you remember where and who made it?
I love lumpia, definitely. This was when I heard I was going to have some. I'm like, yes. You know what? I've had it throughout. I always remember having some, but some of my favorite is from my friend Julie, her mom,
Yes.
Margarita. Marguerite makes fabulous.
Yes, she does.
And there's times where we'll be together at Julie's house with a group of ladies, and there might be all this other food and wine laid out, and nope, all of us ladies were all around the plate.
Okay, very good. Well, we do have some lumpia here for you to partake. We have the Shanghai that we call. That's the pork lumpia, and this is the vegetable lumpia. I don't know if you've had the vegetable variety. That's just for you, Lilia.
Oh, all for me.
Yes, all for you.
Thank you. Well, should I dig in now
Yes,
or
please.
wait till
Yeah,
after?
yeah.
Thank you. I'll go for, because this one's dainty, so I'll start with this one.
Yeah, lumpia, for those who haven't tried it,
Oh my
which
gosh.
is unlikely. But yeah, the Shanghai version, obviously, just the name with the name Shanghai, it is derived from a Chinese cuisine, but it's like a Filipinized version of that. In North America, they often just say they're Filipino spring rolls. But yeah, they're slightly different from, I guess, the way other spring rolls are made. It's just probably the easier way to describe it.
This is fantastic.
Yeah, good flavor, yeah, I think. Here in Canada, you mentioned you have friends, like your friend Julie, who is a lovely Julie, and her mom, Margarita, is known for actually cooking a lot of good Filipino food.
For one of my birthdays, she brought me a bag for the freezer.
Oh, very good. Yeah, they freeze very well too, so they're handy to have. Can you tell me, you've been in Fort St. John, you said, since the 70s. Have you had a lot of interaction with the Filipino community? And also, what changes have you observed from when you first came here, grew up here, and till today as mayor, and what you're seeing? How has the community grown?
Well, my parents also being from other countries, when we came to Fort St. John, you're always trying to make connections and find friends. And we were very fortunate through our church. We made a lot of close friends. And so I have a lot of aunties that are of the heart. And growing up, we had like Mama Tess. So
Yes.
she was probably from one of my first memories of someone that I could identify as a Philippine, but growing up, I never thought of it that way. They were just all special, like friends of the family.
Right.
And same with Marguerite and her husband as well. They were friends of the family too. What I really admire is to see the family unity and the bonding in the Philippine society. And here in Fort St. John, and Mama Tess, she would bring relatives and friends over, and they were involved in our healthcare. Fort St. John, we have definitely benefited hands down and with gratitude for the many wonderful people that have brought their skills and their knowledge from their home country, and they're here helping us, lead healthier and better lives. Over the years, just to see the numbers increasing, whether it's in my role with the Chamber of Commerce, and it's wonderful to see how many people have come over and starting businesses as well. So they're here, they'll find out, is the Peace Region someplace where they want to raise a family, to stay, start a business. The entrepreneurship is fantastic, and that's something that we all benefit from.
Right.
Creating more services and jobs and hiring their neighbors.
Well, other than that, you also have variety. Especially in the food sector. I remember first coming to Fort St. John in 2009, and there were some restaurants that actually had to close because they didn't have enough staff. But the point being, you didn't have much of a selection other than the normal, say, pizzas and whatnot, fast food type. So when the entrepreneurs come and stay and put up their businesses, it just opens up like a wealth of experiences as for options for people to partake and to eat and try. Yeah.
And with the restaurants, so with Audelicious, so Audie has a fabulous menu. Many times when we're entertaining, when we have people that we're trying to introduce and recruit to the area, that is someplace that will take them.
Yeah.
And I find now, I was always fortunate as a young person to be able to travel because my parents would go back home to see their families. But growing up at that time, there wasn't, I think, as much travel perhaps, or were like within my circle of friends. But growing up, you're only probably paying attention to what's happening in grade school and
Right.
when's the next brownie meeting or something like that. But now I find that with my daughters, so I notice it more that my daughters and their friends, they travel a lot. They have a love for language, a love for food, and they bring that back here.
Right.
And they want to continue that, and they're looking to have the adventures of trying new foods,
Right.
and also the memories that they have. Megan, my oldest daughter, she was in Japan, and she was on scholarship through Northern Lights College. She was in Tokyo and Osaka, and so she's always trying to find those memories.
Right.
And it's also the memories, though, of perhaps what grandparents would cook. When we go out, if there's something on the menu that's something that reminds me of home, that is what I want. I'm actually going to take a couple of days to go up past Fort Nelson up to Muncho Lake later this fall. And at Northern Rockies Lodge, they have a wonderful cabin and dining room. And what's on their menu, oftentimes I like to go there because they have food that also reminds me of some similarities, like from Swiss, they have, what would they be called in Swiss? But they're like dumplings. And so they remind me of what I would have in Hungary.
Right.
And so I want to have Spätzle, I believe it's called. And so I think it's that love of food, but it's because of the love of family and the memories
Right.
that stirs. And I think that's one of the blessings that we have when we can come around to a table, or when we have like the fiesta.
Yeah.
Like that is something that definitely I would, as soon as I get an invite, I circle that on my calendar, and it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
booked. I'm going to this.
Yeah.
But I think you get to have different conversations when you're sharing a meal. And I truly love that all the events that, because there's multiple Philippine societies or organizations in Fort St. John now that I think are more connected to the language. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it is a growing community. So we do have Philcan, which is kind of like, well, it's the oldest group, but then we're now developing subgroups that are grouping together based on the languages or dialects that they speak, which is normal. I mean, like this is something that we see in bigger cities, but I think it's one of those testaments that the community is growing now that we have kind of smaller groups as well that are focused on their own language groups, their own cuisine. And like, as you say, when you're partaking with the cuisine, it brings you closer to those who you have shared those with. But at the same time, if you're trying it for the first time across the table, then you're understanding the culture of the other person even more from sharing and partaking with what they can share.
Well, and things that you think you would know, like I did not realize about how many islands there are in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, there's like over 7,600. I think Canada has over 52,000 though, although largely uninhabited. But yeah, that's why you can imagine, like in the Pacific, you have those many islands, and some of those islands were occupied by different cultures. So then they're evolving differently as well. So even here in Fort St. John, you might, say, oh, you're all Filipino, and yes, we are, but I do not understand, for instance, some languages from the South, or likewise, they might not speak Tagalog, or where I come from, as fluently as perhaps I would. Yeah. So you mentioned Mama Tess. Was she the first Filipino you met? Well, Mama Tess is actually the very first Filipino on record here in Fort St. John. She came in 1967. And she did have a lot of contributions. And I know that people from Fort St. John, especially who grew up here from the 70s and the 80s, know of her and the kind of work she did at the hospital. Was she the first Filipino you met?
That's pretty hard to say. I came here when I was probably 6 or 7 years old to Fort St. John. I mean, you have classmates, but often you didn't really discuss where you were from. And then it's not till later on, as you get older, that you find out more about each other, and about their parents, and you get talking about that. There's been so many community members, like at Mama Panda's. It's the people that have been there, I would say, over the years, almost feel like family, just because they treated us like family.
Yep.
Like Rod, may he rest
Yep.
in peace. I just think it's a wonderful gift that you can give somebody to make them feel appreciated and welcome. And that's something that I hope to be able to also do to others.
Yep. Well, at the end of the day, regardless of where we have all come from, it's our love for Fort St. John that brings us together and keeps us in this community. Well,
and you can see the love. If I could just add on to that, every year that I have been on council, I have seen a float from the Philippine community, and the number of participants that are on it and the number of hours that have obviously gone into building those floats. What I see and I observe, while there's the love for the home country, but I think that's what I feel a connection of, that, while others still respect and love their home country, they are here because they want to have a better life for themselves and their family. And they're making Fort St. John better and stronger because they're actively engaged and they're involved, and they're asking the community also to come get to know them. And they're not asking for anyone to change their way of life. They just want them to come and share in the celebrations and the love, and to raise our kids together.
Yeah, and certainly there is much to celebrate. Well, thank you so much, Lilia, for coming to Life, Love and Lumpia with Ovvian Hill.
It's been my privilege. Thank you.